Okay, it's time for combining integers. Today we're going to look at the words, the models, and looking at a number sentence to show our solutions. All right, so first, how do we read the numbers, the expression? When we were first learning numbers, like in second and third grade, we learned read this as 4 plus 4. All right, what I want you to do is get away from the idea of thinking plus and minus, okay? When we're dealing with integers, or any numbers really for that matter, we're talking about combining. We think in terms of combining, we're putting two things together. So in this case, in words, this expression is combine positive 4 and positive 4. Okay, we'll look at a model of that, 4 positive, just like the model we used when we're representing integers. If we use yellows for positives, I have positive 4 and positive 4, so altogether there's 8 positives, or positive 8. Okay, so the model would be 4 yellows and then another 4 yellows, and the result would be 8. So when we combine positive 4 and positive 4, the result is positive 8. So add to the words, the result is positive 8. Okay. Another way to represent this, we could also use the positive signs. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to add to that 1, 2, 3, 4, and the result is 8 positives. Okay. Third way we can represent it on the number line, and they show this on the TAKS test, or the STAR test. Not TAKS, we don't do TAKS anymore. We start at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and go to positive 4, and then you go from there, and you go another positive 4, you end up at positive 8. Very simple, straightforward. For the next one, we're combining combine negative 4 and positive 4. So combine negative 4 and positive 4. Okay, so we have 4 negatives, and we're going to combine that with 4 positives. Okay, so 4 red circles and 4 yellow circles. But one of the things, I'm going to stack this one a little bit differently. So 4 reds and 4 yellows. Okay, if we look at the number line, it's actually a little easier to see on the number line. Okay, so we'll jump over there. If we start at 0, okay, we're actually starting at negative 4. 0 to negative 4 would be negative 4, and then the positive 4 means we're starting there where the negative 4 was, and then going in the positive direction 4 units brings us back to 0. So we can see on the number line a little bit easier that when we do negative 4 with positive 4, the result is 0. So negative 4 and positive 4 equals 0. Another way to think about that is anytime we put a positive and negative together, one red and one yellow circle together, Okay, if we go in the number line 1 negative and then go back 1 positive, we end up at 0. Okay, this is what we call a zero pair. Okay, it's a zero pair because when we put them together, it's 0. So red and yellow together makes a zero pair. So that's a second zero pair. There's a third zero pair. You get 4 zero pairs. And since the 4 zero pairs, they're each equal to 0, all together it's 0. Okay, another way to look at that, if you put a negative and a positive, I do the 4 negatives and then 4 positives. Again, a positive and negative together makes a 0 pair. Those are all zeros. They basically equal 0, so they're gone. So -4 and +4 is 0. Okay, so combine -4 and +4. The result is 0. On our third example, combining -4 and -4. So the words combine -4 and -4. Okay, so if I have 4 reds and I put another 4 reds with it, altogether I have 8 reds. So altogether it's 8 negatives. So if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and I put with that another 4 reds, the result is 8 reds or 8 negatives. So -4 and -4 equals -8. Now some people might read that as -4 minus 4. That's part of the problem, because in reality it's -4, or combining -4 and -4. Okay. Some people also might look at this as being -4 and then plus -4. Another way to write combining -4 and -4. So the result is -8. Okay. You can also look at this as being the 4 negatives combined with 4 negatives. Okay, on the number line, we're starting at 0 and we're moving 1, 2, 3, 4 in the negative direction. So that's -4, and then from there we move another 4 in the negative direction. We end up at -8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Okay. Next example, combine +5 and +2. So 5 yellows, and then you put 2 more yellows. Okay, so altogether you have 7 yellows, +5 and +2 equals +7. Okay. The other 2 models. On the number line, we start at 0 and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the positive direction. It's +5, and then we go from there 2 more in the positive direction. We end up at +7. Combine -5 and -2. Okay, so that's 5 reds and then another 2 more reds. Okay, and again, this one also can be written as, if you have -5 plus -2, that can also be thought as combining -5 and -2. Okay, the result is 7 negatives, or -5 and -2 equals -7. Okay, on this one, result is 7, or +7. Okay. On the number line, same thing. Start at 0 and you go 5 in the negative direction. And then from there, you go 2 more in the negative direction. You end up at -7. Okay. This next one gets a little bit trickier. We're combine +5 and the opposite of -2. Okay, so +5, so 5 positives. And then add to that the opposite of 2 negatives, which makes that the opposite of 2 negatives is 2 positives, so we end up with 5 positives, and then 2 more positives. So we end up with a total of 7 positives, so that becomes 5, and the opposite of -2 becomes 5 plus 2, or 5 in the +2, which is +7. Okay, on the number line, we start at 0 and go 5 in the positive direction. And then, a little tricky to show, but the opposite of -2, it becomes, it's right there, but it's like it was go this way, but now we're going the opposite, which makes it go the other direction. And we end up at 7. Okay. And then the last example is combine -5 and the opposite of -2. Okay, so if we have 5 negatives, that's 5 reds. And we're going to combine that with the opposite of 2 reds. That becomes 5 reds and 2 yellows. Okay, so when we combine those, remember the red and the yellow become a 0 pair. So I have 2 0 pairs, so those both go away because they become 0, and what I'm left with is 3 negatives. So if we combine -5 and the opposite of -2, we end up with -3. So the result is -3. Okay. Okay, on the number line, I'll draw it down